Do you ever find that you struggle with the execution of a dance move? This skill that I use with my students helps them so much with their memory, with the way that they dance, and it can even make them a better dancer in less than 5 minutes. Hello, my beautiful, gorgeous dance baby, and welcome to another episode of More Than Dance. Today, we are talking about one of my favorite teaching tools, and it's the idea of dimming something down and exaggerating something big. So I use this method when I'm teaching my beginners, and it's actually really funny. Like the exaggeration one, that's really funny and silly and goofy. And the other one, the dimming down, is also, it's just helpful. So what does it mean? Okay, so there is an Instagram trend where people are dancing and they'll show 4 or 5 people and they'll say like, this girl's dancing 100, this girl's dancing 80%, this girl's dancing 50%, and this girl's dancing 25%. You look at it and you see the differences. Okay, cool. We understand it. Think about a task that you do on a daily basis really well. Let's think about washing plates. So you're washing a plate, and if you're doing it like in a way that you do it, you just kind of like wash them holding the plate. You wash the plate, right? If I were to say, exaggerate washing the plate, you might go, just kidding. You might go, and then you might go like, and you're exaggerating. And maybe you're not if it's like a cast iron skillet or like a really dirty pan. Think about just a regular old plate that's not even that dirty. You'd kind of just like wash. Okay, we're done. So in dance, when we're learning things like, okay, like this is where it goes, and you're trying to do things like pretty full out and to the extent of what it is. Now, one of my favorite learning skills when I'm learning dance is actually to dim things down and to make things smaller and to make them little and to make them inside out. And what I mean by that is instead of me looking at the mirror, looking at my body and looking at the teacher and like doing it, I think like back into my head and I think like, okay, how does that feel? And what does that look like? So I'm doing things like in a very like small, gentle way. And I'm doing it a bunch of times. Fun fact, if you're doing something smaller than it normally is, chances are you can do it more times than you would if it was the regular girth. So for me, like think about a jumping jack. Like if you were to do 100 jumping jacks, if you're going to do 10 jumping jacks that were like full arm span, full all the way up and down, doing 10 of those is going to take either more energy to do them and execute them full, or if you did them like little, you could probably do them fast, like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. See, I just did 10. So what I like to do when I'm learning is I dim everything down. So I dim down the lever of my arm. I dim down even like my posture. I dim everything down just to like get it into a cycle inside my body. Then, because I'm already worked at the skill of memory for that specific choreography, I can expand on it. I can make it large and in charge, or I can make it bigger in that moment. I can do it full out from there, and I can do it in the exaggerated way. That's one tactic. The other tactic is I actually use this when I'm teaching a little bit versus when I'm learning. However, there are times when I do this when I am learning. And this is called making things exaggerated. So sometimes when I have new students, I notice that when they're doing something full out, it actually is dim. It's not full out, and it doesn't look like it's properly executed because it's not the full extension of the arms. It's not utilizing the entire core. It's not lifting through the head and grounding through the legs. There's a bunch of different reasons why maybe the fingers aren't complete. There's so many reasons why something might not look full out. Maybe they're just completely disconnected and not coordinating their head or their eyes or even themselves with their arms. So sometimes what I like to do is say, okay, we're going to do this so big. It's going to feel so weird and so goofy. And I want you to put a big smile on your face, and it almost gives them this permission to get into this zone that feels like, whoa, I don't normally go in that zone, but okay, it's fine. We're goofing around, we're playing, we're making jokes. So like I could be in here and it's fine. If anyone sees me, they know that she told me to do it. The teacher told me to do it. I'm not doing this myself. And what I find that usually happens when I do this drill is if there was a low, medium, high, and high was like the exaggeration and low was the dim and medium was just like the perfect execution. They all go from being on the dim side to then me telling them to be in the exaggerated side, which would be like the high side. And then they all end up in the middle. Because when you're a beginner dancer, you don't realize how big you get to be as a dancer. You don't realize how much space you get to actually take up, because we don't take up space. We actually try to like shrink ourselves in size and also like in space. So we're always trying to be smaller and to kind of like skirt by. Like think about when you're on like an airplane, like, oh, excuse me. Oh, I'm sorry. Just gonna squeeze by here. Oh, just excuse me. Or when you're on public transportation, or when you're like on the street and you're going by, oh, excuse me, or in a coffee shop, oh, excuse me. We like shrink ourselves and we're little. Very rarely are we like, hey, excuse me, like I need to get through. But dance is like that. Dance is that energy of, hi, let me like spread my wings and let me show you my full self, my full expression in whatever movement that I'm doing. And as a beginner dancer, whoa, that can feel so uncomfortable that it's like, yikes, that feels uncomfortable. So let me still do it. Like I'll do it kind of. I noticed this too when I used to teach teens because they were coming into their own bodies. So they were extra uncomfortable. And they'd go from a span of, because I would teach kids and then I would continue teaching them when they became a teenager. And so I would see them go from being so like, because kids are just so exaggerated and they're so large and in charge and silly and goofy and fun. Like it's actually really fun to do this drill with kids. And then what happens is when they were getting into their teen years, they would be like, oh no. Like that's stupid if I like if I'm that big, or like, oh gosh, like I don't want to be judged, like, or maybe I'm going through puberty and like my body has changed and I don't want to like show that, or I have boobies now and like yikes, like all these things happen when you're a teenager, when you're an adult, basically when you're a woman. Like our bodies are always changing. We're always trying to shift the way that we appear to anyone so that we appear the way we wish we saw ourselves. Man, what a job that is. So instead, in this drill, we get to exaggerate everything and be so big. And in a way, it would feel like for you that you were being obnoxious with your body. Like, I don't think that at all, because actually this proves to yield the best results, because then I can say that. And they're like, what? And I'm like, that's how big you get to be. That's how big I want you to be. That's how big this dance is. And they're always kind of dumbfounded and like, whoa, that's bigger than I ever thought it would be. And that's the truth. When you're dancing, you're larger than life. Think about the way that you feel when you're watching a dancer. You're seeing them take up space and shine on stage, and you're like, whoa, like everything looks so perfectly executed. Well, it's because they're using every single muscle that they know how to use in their body. And if you're doing a dance and you're like, hi, this is my arm, and oh, this is my arm up, but it looks like this, you're not utilizing every muscle in your body. But when you exaggerate it, of course you are. Just the same as when we were washing the plate. Like you might wash it like this when you're just like chilling. Maybe when you're listening to the More Than Dance podcast, or maybe when you're listening to a song or talking to your man, you're doing a task and you're thinking of it. But if you were like showcasing that task, you'd be like, hi, I'm washing dishes. It's the same as if you've ever watched or taken an acting class. You make things so exaggerated, so the last person in the auditorium can see what you're doing. And like even when you're like having a discussion with someone on stage that's subtle and pedestrian, you would make it not pedestrian. You'd be like, oh my God. And it would be so showcasey. Obviously, there's different types of acting. So that's theater acting versus screen acting. Like in screen acting, you're obviously going to be a little more subtle because the camera is doing the job of making things bigger and making things more exaggerated because of the angles that the camera person, hi Joshi, is getting to choose. So there's something to be said about being able to turn on these two zones. And I actually think about like a dimmer switch. I actually love dimmer switches, and I love the idea of the opportunity to like dim and brighten lights, because you can. Like, what a great invention, dimming lights. Ugh, love it. So there's tones to lights just as there are tones to us. So we can dim our movement down and it can serve a purpose, and we can exaggerate our movement up and it serves a purpose. And the goal is, yes, to like find the medium that feels right, because you definitely don't want to be exaggerated all the time when you're dancing. Why? Because your dance gets to have texture. And it gets to have moments where it's soft and subtle and then large and in charge. And that's because it plays with the audience's surprise. Like it's like, okay, if everything's monochromatic and everything is monotoned, like everything would sound the same and you might not hear exactly what the things that I'm saying. When I add inflection and I have accents, you're naturally saying inside your head like, oh, I'm paying attention. Oh, hello, I'm paying attention. Oh, I'm paying attention more. And it's exciting. And we always want to give that thrilling experience to the audience, even if it is in fact ourselves on the other end watching the playback through the camera. There are plenty of times, I know this for a fact, that my students will tell me, well, I thought I was making that so big. And then I watched myself in the playback and it looked so subtle. And I'm like, yeah, because you have to go a lot more full out than you think you do. You get to express a lot more than you think you do when you're dancing. There's this idea of like the bare minimum, like when you utilize like an arm. But what if that arm extended all the way long? And what if there was something that you were reaching for and maybe your rib cage came into play? And then maybe because it was so close to you reaching for it, that now your neck is coming into play. And now you have this whole electric current going from, I think it's like your multiplicities, forget the word for it, but it's like everything is acting at once together to make this move be so executed. So the next time you're having trouble either A, with memory, or B, with execution, I want you to try this skill of either A, dimming it down, or B, exaggerating. And you're gonna find that not only is it fun and silly to play with, it's actually really helpful and beneficial to your learning. So I hope that this was helpful for you today, and I'm so excited for you to give it a try. And if you do, DM me, let me know how it goes, and know that I am always on the other end cheering you on. If this was helpful for you at all, it would mean the absolute world to me if you shared this on your Instagram or with a friend, as sharing this podcast is sharing the love of dance with someone who's on their dance journey. So thank you so much, and I'll see you on the dance floor.